Welcome to another episode of Comma Convos Podcast. I am, of course, your host, Dricka M. Carter. Today, I have a special guest co-host with me. Her name is Reese J. Reese, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I am Reese J. Of Journey with Reese J, where I teach people how to travel for free using their credit card points and miles.
Yes, ma'am. So can you share a little bit about your journey, what inspired you to start an Instagram platform and kind of teach people how to travel with points? What was your turning point of saying, this is what I want to do?
Okay, so I'm actually a former corporate girly. I used to work in hedge funds, private equities, and investing. So I've done that since college. I have a background in accounting, and I also have a credit repair business, credit consulting business, helping people get business funding. And so that I already had background in it, and so it was perfect. And like many people, I've always had points and miles, like my Amex points and miles and things like that. But like many other people, I wasn't maximizing them for the best benefit. I would use them for gift cards. And when you do that, you get a 1 cent ratio. So 10,000 points equal $100, right? Where I have used 10,000 points to fly to Paris for free. So you see the comparison there. So once I really educated myself and learned how far the points could go, it was like I went down a rabbit hole. I'm a big researcher. I would spend time reading and looking into stuff. And so one of the biggest turning points for me was we went to Hawaii last year for my birthday, me and my family. And that trip should have cost us $7,000. We only paid $500. I had just got one card that got me a Southwest Companion Pass. And so me and my fiance, he flew for free. So we just paid cash for it. We had the points. We was like, we'll just do the cash. So we only paid $500 for the flight for both of us round trip. Everything else, we stayed 5 days at the Hilton Hawaii Waikiki Village. We stayed 5 days there for free. And then we stayed 5 days at a condo in Maui on a beach for free.
And all of that was points and
points we already had from the cards prior. So luckily I didn't redeem those. And so as we was planning the trip, I was even debating about it. I was like, should I redeem these points or should I pay cash? And because I'm and I'll get into that later, not all points are created equal. So we were staying at a Hilton at the time. And so I was like, this is going to take most of my points. And my mom was like, girl, you're going to get more. Just use them. And boy, did I get more. And once I learned how fast, I've literally earned millions of points. Like last year alone, 5.6 million points across all with just my normal spending and things, like I said, because we do have businesses. I have 3 businesses. And so, Journey with Reese
J. 3 businesses.
You got 3 businesses and you're traveling. The first one is Reese J Consultant. That's with the credit repair to business. I don't really take many personal clients anymore, more so on the business side with that. And then I have Legacy Property Services where we do snow removal throughout the Chicagoland area for commercial and residential properties. And then Journey with Reese J. So I actually started Journey Reese J as a group at first. So I just did a Facebook group. Once I learned, I want to tell everybody, y'all, guess how much I'm going to Hawaii for? And I wanted to tell everybody, my family, my friends. And so I created a Facebook group. And then from there, it just grew. And so at first, it was even private. I created it May last year. Once I got back from Hawaii, I created the group. I didn't even really promote it. It was just really family and friends in there. And then it was actually another small blogger that I was talking to. And so she was like, you should just do it. I'm like, you inspired me to make me want to make it public and go, bigger with it. Because it kind of started as a hobby. And I made the group public in July. I formalized it as a business in October. So it actually just made the 1 year since I did the LLC and formalized it and everything.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And then in March or April was when I got my affiliates and monetized it and everything. And then it has grown from there. We got about 2.5K members so far. And I have members all over the world. And I also have a blog, the website for it as well. And so it's just amazing to me when I see people in all over the world, Africa, Canada, that's in my group. And just a shout out to my group members. They are amazing. I have some amazing, loyal people. And it just amazes me. And then especially when they tell me they've got their trips and stuff for free and what they do with their family. I love to see their redemption stories, because that's sometimes the biggest barrier when you want to travel is the cost. Especially the bigger bucket list trips, right? since then, like, this is the longest I have been home. And even last weekend, I just got back from Black Women Invest in Dallas. And again, flew there completely for free. I found out about FinCon where me and you met. My partners told me, and I found out like a week before. And I was like, you know what? I got the points. I'm going to go. That trip alone for just my hotel and my flight should have been $2.5, like $2,500. And had I found that out at the last one, I probably would have went.
Right.
But because it was so last minute, so everything was so high. But I was able to just go for $36 in taxes and fees for my flight. Everything else was completely free.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I'm not the points girl. I'm not traveling for free yet, but I do like to travel. So teach me the game. I'm here for it. I'm in your group.
Gotcha.
And again, like you said, we met at FinCon, but all of the money that I spent going to FinCon, I made it back at FinCon, or even like still right now I have a bunch of bookings with like podcast interviews. I have some brand deals that I signed from FinCon, and then just the connections are well worth just going and getting in the rooms. Like, I want to talk about that for a second, because a lot of times people get into the rooms and don't know what to do in the space. Be yourself, show up as the expert that you are. Like, can you give any tips on, because I see you do a lot of networking events as well, but any tips on networking and talking to the right people, or not feeling weird about just going up to people and telling them what you do? Because a lot of times people know what they do, but when it comes to translating it to a conversation without feeling like it's salesy, people start to get stuck or feeling like it's weird, I'm not going to do it. But like, all of us at FinCon just kind of clicked up and linked up, and we still keep in touch. It's not like, oh my God, this is overwhelming in a group text. Everybody kind of like responds on their own time, but you know what's relevant to them. It's not, if it's not relevant to you, let it fly, right? So I just was asking, do you have any like tips on networking tips you have?
Yes, and actually, I was so nervous, and this is coming from like my family, like, you got it, you good, when I went to FinCon. And so I started, you know, like I said, I'm a big researcher. So I started to look on TikTok and YouTube of people who went, and literally as I was being dropped off to the airport, I was watching this girl talk about what to wear, just tips and things from her first time at FinCon. And so, like we all kind of talked about, this was the first time me going to a conference and representing my brand, right? I've worked for Northern Trust before, Allstate Investments. And so it's different when you go in the room and it's like, I'm representing a company. And so the nervousness of it, like, I'm proud, like, I'm really representing my brand, my business. I'm on my own time. But it's also that scary, because if you're representing a brand, a lot of times they already know who these companies are. So you're representing yourself. So like you said, the number one is you're showing up as yourself, right? And nobody can talk about your business when you're passionate about something. It translates. It just comes off you like you really love it. It's like, I can talk about points and miles all day. I literally have members that I talk to it about all day. Like, we will talk about sign up bonuses. Did you see this offer? You got to go stop and do this. Like, it's like a, you know, it's a community. Once I got into it, it was just so much, but it's a community of it, right? And so it comes off as you're passionate about it. So that's number one. And so, like you said, just get it in the room. And so I met one lady, we till this day still talk. She was one of the first people that walked in with me. She actually was the first picture I took. And so we went to dinner that night, and I networked with some other ladies as well. But that just helped me, like, you know, kind of like shake it off. Because I was nervous. Because if a lot of people don't know what FinCon is, it's a conference for financial creators. And so you have creators that will have millions of followers. So you got millionaires, you got people with these big followers. So it can be intimidating. And so a person, for me, especially where I have been told that I'm intimidating, but it was just like, okay, like this, because this is a new space for me. Like I mentioned, coming from a background of being a corporate girlie, I'm used to being behind the desk. I'm used to, when I was a director of hedge fund, that's when I flew to meet my client. You know, I was a little bit more client facing, but outside of that, I was striking the nav and doing financial packages and stuff where it's so behind the scene. Now I'm client facing. Right? Like, a lot of it is networking and talking to my members and things like that. People all over the world, people I may not have never ever met before. And again, I'm some of my biggest supporters. Like, that's why I just had to give them a shout out, because they're so amazing.
Definitely. Like, it's that's a huge like point, because a lot of times, I just had to stop you for a second, because it's different from going to employer conference, right? Or going to an entrepreneur field, right? And a lot of times I have to think about this like this, because I kind of like struggle with that with my employees. They're used to being in a corporate field where they can't use their phones, they can't use social media. Whereas me, my business thrives from social media. So like it's intimidating to them to get on camera and make a commercial. It's intimidating to them to put themselves out there as the expert. It's like, I know I'm the expert. I know I have clients. I know tech stuff. I'm excelling in the classes. I'm showing up for myself. We could do photo shoots all day, but when it comes to, all right, let's translate this post into 3 tips that you can give your clients right now, people freeze up. So it's the same way in person when you go into a conference. You know what I'm saying? Especially representing your brand. Whether your brand is just starting out or whether it's 10, 20 years in, it's the same thing because you're walking into a room where no one knows you or your brand.
And it's so much networking, and the biggest tool is you are your brand. So it has a plus and a minus, right? And you want to give them a little bit of personal touch because I am a private person, and so I remember thinking too, like even with my Instagram or making certain things public, a lot of times I'll get content of the hotels. I'll say, hey, I booked this hotel for 10,000 points a night, or even like I showed for FinCon, that hotel could be booked for 9,000 points a night, but I also show you the hotel, things like that, versus where it's like now I have to start doing more like, showing myself and the personal touch. And again, I'm not used to that because I'm used to being behind the scenes, and so letting them in and things like that. And I remember like, I don't have a space to like share, like I got my Snapchat, that's private because you are a public person. You become an influencer.
Yes, by default.
And sometimes that can have a positive, but it can also have a negative connotation to it. And certain like touchy topics and things you want to stay away from. But at the end of the day, you have to show up to yourself. Your brand is your brand. Like for me, some groups that I've been in, they could be condescending. They're not very helpful. That is one of the most important things with my group is we are very helpful. We're very beginner friendly. I don't play that, being condescending to people or, just snarky comments and things like that. We're all here to help each other. But that is one of the biggest things that I'm very important on. Like, we're going to keep the tone a very friendly space. And again, me, I'm different. Even as an accountant, you know how they say accountants or women are like this. No, I am very vibrant. I like to have fun and stuff like that. So I like to bring that out. And it shows, it has to show in your brand. But just to even go back to what you were saying about FinCon, one of the biggest tips I have as well is a lot of the conversations happen outside of the different sessions that we have. Networking, us meeting, and it's like you gravitate towards people, like me. We were just sitting outside. We were done with a session. You walked up and we're talking. I'm like, hey, I want to be on a podcast. And we talk. It's just, those are the natural conversations. And you don't feel like you have to turn your cell phone. It's just natural.
Yes,
like, oh, exactly. I do that. But also not even just where a person may not need your service or something like, I just hired my virtual assistant. And because I feel like I'm
on that.
So thank you. And again, I've heard of a lot of stuff we know, but it's actually having people around you to just motivate you, hold you accountable for it. So I was just like, I need somebody to help and do stuff. I know how to do it, but it's taking too much time. Like we talking about, I don't want to spend all day on social media. I need to get things automated. I need help as you growing and you scaling your business. It's a team. You eventually won't be a one woman or one man show. You have a team behind you. And so teamwork make the dream work. But again, talking to everyone, they're like, oh girl, you need a VA, you need a virtual assistant, you do this, you do that. And I was looking to hire people, but it was like, okay, I need a social media manager. I need a marketer versus like you have your virtual assistant, start there. A lot of times, and I made sure that the person that I hired was experienced in marketing and email marketing and doing different things. And again, knowing how to relinquish that control to actually delegate. Like, I can't do everything, because sometimes we're going to pick it up and be like, you know what, I'm just doing myself. And so that can be challenging for
a lot of times, not sometimes. Me, I do it. I'm raising my hand because I do it too. Like, I have maybe 5 assistants.
5?
But I'm careful that I'm not giving them overlapping tasks. Like if I tell one to do this, they're focused on doing that. They don't all work full time, but I'm looking at what their strengths and weaknesses are. I'm looking at, hey, this one is not good on email marketing. Hey, this one might not be good on social media management and keeping up the momentum that I have. Like being able to evaluate those skills and their skill set and, pivot. And sometimes you have to shift and make a specific role and responsibility for that person. Like initially you come out the gate saying this one person can do everything. And then you get overwhelmed, you get frustrated, they get overwhelmed, they quit. The productivity is not where it needs to be, right? And those types of things because you didn't sit there and evaluate what they were good at, nurture that, let them be good at what they're good at, hire the next expert to supplement what they're not good at, right? Mm-hmm. And also hiring people for our weaknesses. That's what you basically mentioned earlier. Like, okay, I need somebody that's good at marketing. I'm good at what I do, right? Mm-hmm. A hairdresser might be good at doing hair. An accountant might be good at doing taxes and bookkeeping and payroll. You might be good at building houses, but are you good at running your business effectively so that it can grow and scale? Anybody can start a business, and I think that a lot of time people feel like starting a business is just building an Instagram, building a platform, building a social media, getting an LLC, getting a business bank account. Yeah, we hear that over and over and over again, but that is not the foundation of your business. That is not going to help set your business to the next level. That's not going to help you grow, be able to hire, be able to open up more than one location, be able to go into a storefront if you're a home-based business. It's not going to do that if you just say, okay, I'm going to just save on overhead, hire a virtual assistant that I can pay a few dollars an hour and then take on tasks when they're frustrated. No, if you have standard operating procedures in place from the beginning when you hire them, if they know what the company culture is when you hire them, if they know what to do without you in your absence, right? They should be able to run your business without you being out looking over their shoulder. Because I'm not a micromanager. That's just me. I'm not a micromanager. I'm going to give you the task. I need the task done in this amount of time. And that's it. Like I don't want to hear excuses. I don't want to hear, oh, I fumbled the bag. Oh, I'm about to do it right now. If I sent it to you 3-4 hours ago, like what were we doing in those 3 or 4 hours? Right? Don't make me have to be a micromanager because that's not my strong suit. I don't want to do that. And that's why I have an office manager. So she can come in and say, okay, I got it, Dricka, I handled it, or I spoke to this person, I resolved this issue. You know what I mean? So she helps me with those types of tasks so I can thrive and flourish as a CEO. And I think a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we never know when to take off that entrepreneur hat and put on that CEO hat. And that's like a hard transition or pivot for anybody that's going from like being a worker in corporate and then like I say, corporate girlies to I'm a hustler to I'm a multi-hustler. I got XYZ amount of businesses, but if one of those businesses not able to carry you over, why you adding additional streams of income that's not streaming, right? So like we have to ask ourselves like what are we actually doing and what can be a pivotal service. Like you started Journey with Reese J and you added supplement. You started the Facebook group and you added supplemental services to monetize you, right? You didn't start off and say, I'm going to make money first, then add the Facebook group, then build the community. And there's no right or wrong way to do it. Like a lot of people feel like I got to build up this Facebook group and get this presence. But if your target audience isn't on Facebook, maybe you're trying to build the wrong platform. Like that's something that's not talked about as much either. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And then too, the biggest as well, because I was having a total meltdown one day when Facebook was down. I thought somebody hacked my account and everybody's account, and that was just for me because I was in my website was being developed, and it was just for me like hurry up and get this live because you got two things, right? You have influencers. You have the people who post, the funny posts, you do this, you may have motivational, but you don't have a business, you don't have a service. Then you have, for me, as I use social media as my marketing, but my brand is offline. I have a blog, right? And so it did start with my Facebook group, but if Facebook shut down or like they're saying TikTok is going to be taken away in January, then what? The whole business end? No. And so that's another reason why I hired a virtual assistant because we have to get leads and different things in contact just in case if anything ever happens. You have emails, you have different ways to reach your people than just on social media. Or I will have people say like, oh, how do I send this to my dad? He's not on social media, right? So then you don't have the posts that I'm making it on social media. They're great, and I'm giving you step by steps, but they don't even have access to it, nor do they have the desire to, right? And so for me, it's like, okay, hurry up, get my website up, get where they could subscribe. So everything is on there, and you could do different things in your own time. But also, it's also coming more professional just to like have it outside of social media. So you have, like I said, you have where you use your influencer. and social medias are your platform. And then you have where you use social media for what it can be a powerful marketing tool, but you have to use it for marketing. And ultimately you have to get them off of Facebook, but you also have to make sure that you have your business and things in place so you can safeguard your business. And it's like, you can't safeguard your business on Facebook when everything is on there. Because like I said, when it was down that day, I was like, I worked so hard to get quality members and people in here, and I can't get in my Facebook. And so that was a wake up call for me, you know.
So do you collect data? Like if somebody is in your Facebook group, how are you collecting their data? Do you have like a form so you can like retarget them and tell them about the blog and stuff?
So they can subscribe to the blog. The blog is in a group. I post the group a lot of times. I mean, I post my website and things like that all the time. And now, before, I used to post like anything that came up, like let's say it was a transfer bonus, right? Because I had just posted about going to London. I was able to book business class with 21,000 points, but you could go in economy for as low as 5,000 points. And so I post that in the group, but then I'll also have a blog post. But before, what I would do is it would just be in a group, right? Now I will actually post a little snippet, and then I will take you to my website. The only difference is, and I won't get too deep into the social media because I know everybody came here to learn how to shop for free. But Facebook wants to keep you on Facebook. Instagram wants you to keep their members on Instagram.
Every platform, yeah.
Yes. So a lot of times when you do post the links, you may see like, why don't I got a lot of engagement or a lot of clicks? It's because they're not pushing it out there. And so what I do is I'll say, like, even for this, instead of me just posting the YouTube link on my thing, I said check the comments, because Facebook will not push that out. They want it, and they'll tell you that, right? Because I'm monetized on Facebook. They want to keep their people on Facebook. So they don't, unless you do ads and stuff, and your goal is to lead to more website clicks and things like that. They want to keep people on their platform. So that can only be the tough side. But now I direct everybody to the blog. When you're getting into the points and miles game, it can be very intimidating. It's a lot of information out there, and it's hard to just condense it to a post, right? And so, like I said, if there ever is a time where it's down, you lose everything. You lose all the hard work you did. So everything is on my blog. And I also used to be a blogger before. So it's like everything kind of like came together. I've been a blogger before. So I know how to work it from the background a little bit. Being a business owner, I have a degree in accounting and my master's in business administration and marketing. So I have, like we said, like I have knowledge on this stuff, but that don't mean I can't hire an expert just because I'm certified in strategic.
Right.
So just stuff like that. But I love it. I love what I do. I love teaching people. I love hearing the redemption stories when they brag. I want you to brag about wherever you went. I had one member, she just took her kids to an all-inclusive for free. And that's something when she first started, she's like, that's my goal. I have a lot of people that say, hey, I want to take my family and fly to Disney World. Or, it don't always have to be the luxurious trip. It could be something as simple. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've had where I had to get my cousin home for a funeral, and I was able to save significant costs by just using my points to do so. So it's not always the luxury trips, even though I love that myself. But I'll just go into that in some of the bucket list trips I've done. So outside of Hawaii, I've gone back to Paris. I've been to Paris 2 times, Milan, Switzerland, London, Bali, Spain. I just went to Spain. I went to Barcelona and Ibiza, Punta Cana, Mexico. Just a couple that I've been to and able to like check off. And that's just since 2023. So that's why I said like this year, Anguilla, that's my happy place now. Anguilla. So I've literally, my goal last year was to travel. Even before I got deep into it, my goal last year was to travel at least one time a month because I've always loved to travel. So just even a background on me, my grandmother made sure we traveled as kids. So with Vegas, I went to Vegas 3 times before I was even in 8th grade.
Right.
So I didn't go back, and ultimately she passed away. But I didn't go back to Vegas where I was of age, because a lot of people are like, Vegas, what's in Vegas for kids? Well, if you've ever been back then, they had Wet and Wild, they had Circus.
Yes.
They had so much stuff. M&M World. New York ride. Like we went 3 times as kids, and she
the zip line, the strip. It's a lot.
Yes, and she took, I'll say, the whole block. She had everybody in Vegas. So we used to travel as kids. Well, I used to go to Minnesota with my family every summer and spend the time out there. So it just was my love for travel. And even like now when I do go, I think about that. Like I would love to be able, where she could go on international. A lot of us was domestic, but to take her internationally to do the things or see the places that I'm seeing now. So I've always loved to travel. And so last year I was like, I want to go on a trip every month. And so I started the year off in April. We went to Hawaii. So that was the 4th trip that year. And I was able to continue and go on a trip every month last year. And so far this year as well, I have knocked out 1 or 2 trips a month. So I have been busy, and I just said, like, okay, I'm tired of the airport. Like, I love to travel, but I'm tired. I don't like being on a plane. So
what?
Yeah, that's the worst part of it for me. Unless, even if it's in lay flat, the longest flight I've been on was just to Bali. I was able to book that for my best friend's birthday. Yes, that is the world's longest flight from New York to Singapore. That is 19 hours straight. We was business class there and back. Them flights should have cost $11,000. We only paid $108 for taxes and fees on Singapore Airlines, and we used our points for the hotels as well. And
so what would you say to somebody that is not into, like, that wants to travel on a budget, has these credit cards? Like, what would be the first step for somebody that's wanting to travel with points only?
If they have points already, then you want to educate yourself on the programs. You want to educate yourself on transfer partners. Every big card issuer has transfer partners, whether it's American Express, Chase, Capital One. Those are the bigger ones. They all have Citibank. They all have transfer partners. So whether they transfer to World of Hyatt, they transfer to Marriott, they transfer to Hilton, they transfer to United Airlines, they transfer to Southwest, they transfer to Singapore Airlines. That's the airline we flew to Bali. They transfer to Virgin Atlantic. So the cruise I just went on, actually, me and my family, we went on a free cruise with Virgin Voyages using our points. Had an amazing time. It was a celebration cruise. So the first thing is you want to educate yourself, and what we say is know thy transfer partners. So you want to know who your points can transfer to. And remember, I said, I'll come back to it, like, not all points are created equal. So Hilton points are, we will say we value them less than like Hyatt. So you'll hear me talk about Hyatt all the time. I love Hyatt. And they have some of the best value as well when it comes to it. Like, they have Hiltons in Atlanta, but my points go, let's say Hilton may be 60,000 points per night, right? I just told you I stayed, the place I stayed was 9,000 points a night, right? So it requires just a little bit more. So you have people
because my Marriott points, I have Marriott Bonvoy. Yeah. And so, like, it takes forever to get enough points to get a stay. Like, if I stay somewhere, it's gonna be at least 2 or 3 days, right? So if you're trying to book your whole stay and you don't have enough points, you always gonna come out of pocket because you don't have enough points.
Yeah, and that's one thing I want to touch on as well. So outside of knowing your transfer partners, those are for people who already have points. You want to know your transfer partners, and then you want to go to their website and you want to run searches. So like you said, clearly you've ran a search to know, like, Marriott costs a little bit more. When we went to where did we go early this year? St. Thomas. We went to the Virgin Islands. The only downside about Hyatt is they don't have as big as a footprint as Marriott and Hilton. And Marriott actually has one of the biggest footprints in terms of the hotel chains. So they didn't have a Hyatt out there, so we had to do Marriott. And we used 331,000 points for 6 nights. Okay. Yeah, so it was a lot of points per night. Now, of course, that stay would have been 5,000 or 6,000. And I'm very, like, last minute. Like, some people will tell you, like, oh, start planning a year ahead. No, that's not me. I booked that flight the day we left. Like,
oh my God.
No, we were leaving the day after. So when the time we booked the flight in the hotel, it was time to check into our flight because it was less than 24 hours later. So I did a search, and I'm like, hey, let's go here. But yeah, they required 331,000 points for that. So it required a little bit more than what, like, let's say Hyatt would have needed. And so that's for people. So that's your answer your question on for people who already have points. Is knowing your transfer partners. If you go to my website, Dricka and Reese J, I have a starting guide, but there is a tab for award transfer partners, and it will tell you. It has a list of the airlines and hotels, and it also has a list of the card issuers for you to see what transfers where. So, like, with you, let's say you got Marriott points, but you need to top them off. You can top them off with your Chase points. You can top them off with your Amex points because they transfer at a 1-to-1 ratio to Marriott. And so that can be a way to like top off your points as well. And so what I wanted to go into next is, again, with not points, all points being created equal, is I recommend people who are starting out to start off with flexible points. You're thinking of travel, you think like, oh, I love Southwest, I'm going to get a Southwest card. Or I love Marriott, so I'm going to get a Marriott card. And then you find out you get your sign-up bonus and everything, and those points don't go that far. Or those points can only be used at Marriott. They can be transferred to their airline partners, but it's at a horrible ratio, like 3-1. So for every 3 Marriott points, you'll get 1 Southwest point. And so that's not something that I would recommend, because you're already, for something that has a lower value, you're already evaluating it a little bit more. They don't go as far.
Right.
I recommend that you start off with flexible points, as well as certain issuers have certain rules. Like there's one issuer where, the popular 5 for 24 rule, meaning that if you've gotten more than 5 cards in the last 24 months across any issuer, they will not approve you for their card. And they have some of the best points. So you don't want to just hop in the game and you get a bunch of cards all over the place, and then now you're locked out and you're like, oh man, now I can, but, I always sometimes may recommend you start there. And so one thing that I do offer is free credit card consultations, which they can access on my website. You'll give me a little bit of information about like the cards you already have, how's your credit score, how much are you going to spend in 3 months to meet the sign-up bonus, which I'll go back to. And then I'll send you recommendations based off that. Because I don't want you just out here blindly applying, or, if I know you're over 5 for 24, I'm not going to recommend that card, and then you waste the inquiry or something like that because you didn't get approved. And so a lot of times, because people will be like, oh, use my link and do this and do that, but they're not really educating you on it. And so I try to give everybody a tailored recommendation. And so that's what I realized I kind of skipped over. So the best way to earn points is sign up bonus, which is a SUB. If you're in the points and the miles game, it can seem like we're talking a different language. It is. And so you can literally find these acronyms on my website, because when you get in there, it can seem like we talking foreign language, because you do start to. And so I always love when my members or newbies start to talk it themselves, like, oh, I finished my sub or this or that. And I feel like I love it, they crossing it on over to the other side. But when you just use a regular card, so let's say your card earned 2 times the points. Well, let me even go back further. You have cards that earn points, and you have cashback cards, right? Points can more often than not, unless it's like a Hilton or a Marriott, right? If you get, let's say, the one with the flexible points, like I said, you get a Amex or something like that, right? A lot of times you can redeem those points for cash, which a lot of people do. Or like I mentioned, I redeem them for gift cards. Or you get the best value when you transfer those points to the partners. Whereas a cashback card cannot be transferred to points. That's just is what it is. So I'll give an example. I told them to redeem 50,000 of my points to give me a $500 gift card for Neiman Marcus. I was going to grab me a bag. And so you couldn't tell me nothing. I'm like, I got this bag for partially free. I had a different gift card. And so I put it with it to give me a bag. And I said 50,000 points, right? To give me a $500 gift card. I used those same 50,000 points to fly to Barcelona in business class. That flight was over $4,000. So you see $500 cash or a $4,000 business class flight. So your points go further that way. So I always recommend too, if you're wanting to get into the points in the game, miles, we don't get cashback cards anymore. But ultimately, the good thing is, if anything ever happened and you like, look, I need cash, you can redeem those points for cash, but you can't do it on the opposite. You can't turn those cashback into points. So if you play in the points and miles game, we're going to stick with cards that earn points that can be used for travel. So that's one as well. And so going back to, let's say that card earns you 2 times the points, right? Let's say you spend $40,000 in a year. That's going to get you 80,000 points. That may get you 1 or 2 trips, right? However, if you diversified that 40,000 and maybe got 4 or 5 different travel cards, now you got 500,000 points, and they go a little bit more further. So when you hear us talk about award travel, or it used to be called travel hacking, but we can no longer say that. When you get into award travel, That's what we're doing. We're constantly working on sign-up bonuses. That's how we earn the millions of points or the hundreds of thousands of points to be able to use is you'll see, let's say a card say, hey, we'll give you 60,000 bonus points when you spend 4,000 within 3 months. So what I will do again that's why I said with my free credit card consultation, I ask those questions because I can't tell you, hey, go get this car. You got to spend 20,000 in 3 months, and those are not your normal expenses. The way to play this game is we don't want to go into debt. We don't want to incur interest because then it kind of negates itself. You're using your normal spending and you're maximizing your normal spending for your sign-up bonuses, and then you move to the next car. So we're not going to get anything that's out of reach for you. So if your normal expenses, whether that's personal and business, for us, you heard me say I earn millions. That's because we have higher spend. We have multiple businesses. So that's number one. So we will stick within your target. So let's say again, so you spend 4,000 within 3 months, you get 60,000 bonus points. You'll also get your base points or whatever you earn on that card. You're going to put all of your spending on that card. You can put your rent on that card. I know sometimes they charge a fee, but when you're working on a bonus, that 3% fee is negated because you're technically earning about 12 to 15% times the value anyway when you're when you're working on a sign-up bonus. If you're not working on a sign-up bonus and that card only gives you 1 time or 1% back, you're not going to pay a 3% fee, right? Because you're paying, at that point, you're paying for points. And we don't want to do that. We want to earn the points. We don't want to pay for them. So you'll put all that spending on that card, your rent, your insurance, you prepay your utilities. A lot of people do taxes, myself included. When it's tax season and I get an estimate of what I have to pay, I get a card. I've even had where I have people, because I do offer strategy sessions where they're going to buy a car. Okay, you're going to put 10,000 or so down on a car. Let's figure out what cars we could get you, and then how much. Most of them will tell you they could do about 5,000 on a car, but there are ways and strategies to get them to do a little bit more. And so that same with her purchasing a car she was going to spend on anyway and put that down payment. She went to Bali for free. So got a vacation that should have costed over $15,000 for free for something she was going to spend anyway. So that's very important. And I also want to mention that to play the game as well, as we mentioned, you have to be financially disciplined to get into it, as well as you need good credit. So if you're still working on your credit, that's something you want to focus on before just hopping in. If you're paying down debt and things like that, that's something that you want to focus on before hopping in. So you can always reach out to us. You can reach out to me, and I build these plans and things with people. But I just wanted to put that disclaimer out there because a lot of times you'll hear, well, you have to pay for those points. You have to spend a lot of money to get those points. I was going to spend that money anyway. I was going to.
Instead of using the money from your account, use your credit
card. I was going to spend $4,000 anyway, but why not spend the $4,000? And now this $4,000 is sending me to Anguilla for a week for free. Yeah. And then even with your taxes, paying your taxes, what else is going to give you that kind of return when you pay your taxes, whether it's property taxes, what you're paying, you can pay with a credit card. And so if you don't know, there are governmental websites that they work with, 3 that you can pay your taxes with. They do charge a fee. You can find them again. You can find them on journeyreesej.com, and you can see the websites and how much they charge. And I did a comparison because I do have a lot of people that do that. I've had people where they're like, oh, I got these big medical expenses coming up. What card should I get? And so those are things that you could either post in a group, you could do the free credit card consultations, and then we go from there.
We have a question that came in. It says, do you need to have a travel rewards credit card with Citi or Capital One to earn the points, or will a regular credit card be okay?
It can be a cashback card. So that's why I mentioned they have various cards. So let's say with Citibank, they have the Citibank Strata card. They have the double cash and the different cards. So, and that's what the different rules and things, learning that comes into play. But let's say with the Capital One, if you have the Venture or you have the Venture X, those can be used for travel. If you have miles, so if you go log into your account and it says these are your Capital One miles, when you go down to redeeming them, you'll see transfer to partners. And that's where you will go look at the various partners that they have and that you can use them. American Express, as long as you have a card that earns membership reward points, you can use them for travel. If you have American Express cards that earn cash, then no, you can't use those for travel.
But
well, you can use that cash, but you can't.
Right, but get the cash. I like cashback cards too, but I think I need to get more into points because I really always look at APR, my interest rates. Do they have an annual fee? Like these are the things I look at for credit cards, so I can say, oh, this card is for when we go on cruises. This card is for, you know what I'm saying? Because certain trips you need to get a rental car and you put a card.
And I'm glad you mentioned that as well, because you said something important. Like you said, you evaluate the cars that make sense for you and your situation. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned annual fees. So I will put this out there. Most travel cars have an annual fee. The highest is $675, and y'all know that's platinum. I have it. Look, that's one of my favorites.
Oh my God, I be struggling to cancel that card every time. Like,
look, the benefits. I get that question a lot too. Like, when is the annual fee worth it? The first year you get the car, if you hit the bonus, it's always gonna compensate for that fee. But I get that a lot with the platinum, even if it's my business owners, whatever it is. It's like my one friend was like, this the card you recommend with this fee? She said, I know she couldn't be talking about this. And I'm like, yes, that's what I'm talking about. But that car has over $1,400 in benefits, whether that's Dell. This chair that I am sitting in was covered by that car. This Samsung watch I have on was covered by that card. I ordered it off Dell. A lot of stuff for my office, again, was covered with that card. Not to mention lounge access. I get clear, TSA pre-check. A lot of people don't even know, but they provide you status with 3 rental car companies, Avis, Hertz, and National. And so what that means is when I go get my rental cars, I don't stop at the desk. I go straight to the car. I pick the car up before I get there, and I get upgraded. So sometimes I will book just the economy, and I get an SUV. Again, for Atlanta, when I came for FinCon, I booked the economy car. I got upgraded to an SUV. Now, of course, it's based on availability, your levels of status. But what I always say, and I miss lounge access. Let's not forget that you get lounge access. But
if I get that early enough, because that's my problem.
Yes, read over your benefits. It is so important to read over the benefits and make your cards work for you. When I tell you, it's not just even the free travel that you get. It's not just the free travel that you get, it's other benefits as well, where a lot of people don't know. But like, again, the Platinum card gives you Hilton Gold access. It gives you Marriott Gold access. It also, I've had issues where I ordered a Tory Burch bag and it wasn't delivered to my home. They took a picture of the ground. And at first, Tory Burch tried to say like, oh, no, we delivered it and things like that. So before we even go back and forth, American Express gave me my money back. I've had incidents where it also has cell phone coverage. So you can cancel your regular cell phone coverage. And if you pay your bill with that card, they will replace your phone. You just pay the deductible. But it's so many different trip protections and things like that. It's so many benefits to a lot of these cards, especially the ones with the higher fees, that you want to look them over and you want to maximize them. I have the gold card. It gives me $20 a month at Grubhub or office supply stores. So sometimes I'll go grab a gift card, like Bath and Body Works just had their candle sale. I went and got a $20 gift card, and I went and got candles for that, all for free, all from my one card. You have cards that give you Lyft credits. Like they have so many benefits that it's not just the points and miles that you get, but you want to look over those benefits. And I want to maximize every dollar that I get, especially if I'm paying annual fees. I pay roughly over $2,000 in annual fees a year, but I get over $3,000 in benefits that I use. So I want to be clear too. The benefits don't benefit you unless they benefit you. So there are some things where you're looking at the benefits and you're like, I would never use that. I don't shop here. I don't do that. The personal Platinum card comes with Saks credits and things like that. If you feel that's a place you never shop and you don't really care for those benefits, then we're going to skip that card, right? For me, because I'm deep in the game, I want all the cards and I want all the points and miles, at least for 1 year. That's when we get into turning cards. I may not keep them beyond the 1 year. I may downgrade them or I may cancel them.
I was about to say, so do you balance transfer or do you cancel? Because, as credit girlies, we be like, no, don't cancel. You need the history.
Yeah.
Right?
And
sometimes balance transfers work for people and sometimes they don't.
And so the things as well as the balance transfer won't count towards your bonus. So if you do need to do a balance transfer, that's like a different topic or things like that. But when you get, what I always say is when you get to outside of the benefits, when you get to your 1 year anniversary and you're looking, because you have 30 days after they charge you that annual fee before you can cancel the car and get your feedback. But they also do retention offers, and that'll be a conversation for another day. But you can ask for a retention offer. So I've had a car where I got a retention offer, and they waived the fee for another year, and they gave me 10,000 miles just because I called and asked and say, hey, I'm thinking about canceling this card. You know, do you have any retention offers? This, and that. It doesn't always work, and that's when you sit back and evaluate where. Do I want to pay this fee? Mm-hmm. Do I need this car? Like you said, you struggle with the platinum card. I get my benefit. I make sure I get used. It's about only 2 credits that I don't use on that card. But I'm always in the lounges when I go to the airport. Mm-hmm. Like I told you, that's my least favorite part of the trip. So as soon as I get through, I use Clear. I have Clear for me and 2 other people on my account. I have Global Entry. The Dale credits, they give you $400 in Dale credits, $200 semi-annually. And a lot of people be like, oh, I don't shop at Dale. They have, with the gaming systems, they have that on there. My gaming chair, you know, the chair from my office, I got on there. The Samsung watch, Bose headphones, those type of things that I'm going to take on my flight, I get for free with my car. So I always say, like, make your cars work for you. Read over those benefits. Is usually in your app. It's on the website. And then if you go to Dricka and Reese J, you go to Best Car Offers. The cars will always list the offers. But I also do reviews of some cars and things like that as well. Before you apply for the car, they will list some of the things and the benefits that they give you outside of just the sign-up bonuses, including those protections that I mentioned, whether it's purchase protection, warranty protection, and things like that.
Okay, I got one more question for you.
Okay.
How do you see the future of your brand evolving, and what new projects or goals are you working on and most excited about?
Okay, so 2025, we're actually preparing that for now, the content calendar, but I will be releasing a YouTube. So I will be doing my YouTube channel because as we're talking here, this is just scratching the surface. It's so much to it. And a lot of times people don't like to read. That's number one, but it's also the attention span, but it still can be confusing. And so it's just better. You know, a lot of times we come on YouTube, we watch stuff, and so you learn a little bit more. So I'm going to be branching and expanding into that. Expanded with my content and different brand deals. So that's the biggest for now, is the biggest that we have on the horizon is the YouTube. Maybe a podcast down the line, but for sure the YouTube channel will be launched. A lot of times you'll see me still showing my content, being more consistent, sharing my content with the hotels, the places I have been. And that's really what's on the horizon next for Dricka and Reese J. It's just to continue growing the group. Yeah, and teaching people how to travel for free. I love to see it. I love to educate people on it. As you can see, I'm passionate about it. It's addicting.
Very passionate.
It is very addicting. But it's for me, like I said, because I've always loved to travel. So I can literally say I can go anywhere in this world that I want to go for free. As long as I find out, some places they might be like, oh, I want to be in business class, so I got to find availability for it. But outside of that, if I plan right and plan correctly, I can go anywhere I want for free. I'll offer the stuff and the spending that I was going to do anyway. So making my money work for me, where, again, like I said, your tax, where do you know when you pay your rent throughout the year that you're going to be able to go hop on a flight, or even if it's local, you know, where is going to give you that type of return on your money?
Nowhere. Right. Nowhere, really. What advice would you give any entrepreneurs or aspiring content creators who are just starting to build their presence online? Because I know you kind of said that you struggle with, like, what do I want to post? What do I not want to post? And then another thing, as content creators, right, we get pushed into the space of content creation, which we weren't really content creators, but now you have the opportunity to put brand deals on the table because you're always traveling. So it's like, if I can't get points, but I can get this free stay from just posting this hotel and really like visiting these restaurants that's in the hotel. Because, you know, when we go somewhere, we like, oh, I got this place on the bucket list. I saw this on TikTok. They gave this, you know, and you don't eat inside of the hotel. You don't go to the bar at the hotel. You skip all of these things. But if you want a brand deal with a particular brand or hotel, they require you to do those things. They might require you to give a review of the rooftop bar or a review of the restaurant. You know, they might have 5 or 6 restaurants in that hotel, and you don't know because you didn't go to any of those restaurants in that hotel, but you want that brand deal. So, like, what advice would you give?
So my first advice, and I'll touch on what you said about brand deals as well, but my first advice would be is being consistent. So I know a lot of people talk about your niche. Yeah, you got to find that, but you also have to you have to be consistent. It has to be something that you're very passionate about, for one, because it just comes off naturally if it's something that you're passionate about. But the biggest for me is consistency, because that's how you're going to grow your brand. And so quality content, right? Putting out quality content, and the timing for it, and knowing you don't want to be a jack of all trades and a master of none, right? So there are other things and other projects that I do want to get to, but at the same time too, you have to realize your time. It's only so many hours in a day, and posting on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, that takes a lot of time. Getting the content is super easy. It's the editing for me. I hate it. So that's why. Not that I hate it, but it's very time consuming.
It's not your ministry. It's okay.
You will see we are the editor, the director, everything. And so you may see one little clip that I have to condense to maybe 20 seconds.
30 seconds.
I have to make it an hour long. And you don't realize that that's about 20, 30 clips I put together. I had to overlap. I had to edit stuff out. I'll be out with my friends getting content. Like, don't put that in there. I would never put us talking, right? I'm muting it. So I'm doing voiceovers, right? I have to edit people out the frame. And it's just so much to it. It's time consuming. And so that's why I said having that consistency. I know, again, getting tips with batch creating and stuff like that. Doing it, being consistent, maybe having a day like, hey, I'm going to sit down and this is the day I'm going to work on content. Scheduling your posts, having a content schedule, and things like that are definitely some of the things that I would say for someone wanting to get into it and want to get into doing content. And then each platform has their own rules in terms of like being monetized and things like that. And those are the things that they're looking for. They're looking for engagement, because I will say this as well, is like having a big following doesn't lead to conversion. Now, when you're not selling a product and service, and you're not using social media for, your business and stuff, and you're just using it for being an influencer, that's one thing. But again, even for the brand deals, if you can't lead them to, ultimately they're paying you because they want you to lead them to sales. They want you to bring new customers. If you can't do that, then so it's like, that's another thing as well. So even I had got approved for my Amazon storefront, and I leveraged when I went viral on my TikTok. And before I had been because I wasn't that much on social media, especially I was very active in my group, but not on my actual personal page. And so I finally got approved because of that engagement, because I was responding to people, because they were sharing. And at that time, I only had 700 followers.
Right.
So you have people that's like, I got 14,000 or I got 50,000, and I keep being denied. It's not just about that.
It's engagement. Can you convince somebody to buy something from me? That's what they're looking for. That as a brand, I understand that, because it's like you don't want to hire a bunch of influencers that cannot influence.
Yeah, and even for me, my website was still under development, and I didn't have even 1,000 members in my group yet when I worked with my affiliates. Now, I were able to show the numbers like, hey, I've maxed out these links, I've had these amount of signups, I got this, I got that. And so I was able to get my foot in the door without being, having that intimidation, like, wait, I got to wait till I got 10,000 followers, or I need this, or I need that. No, I went out for it, so it's way more than that. So also don't get intimidated that you can't get the brand deals or you can't do these things until you have this huge following. They're going to be looking for quality, consistency, and that engagement. And ultimately, like you said, can you influence them? And a lot of times when we do go on trips, I'll be like, hey, this is the things that I order, right? And a lot of times I will have, whether it's family, friends, or whatever, they will literally go order everything I've recommended, just because they have to have that trust in you. They have to trust you, number one. You have to, pretty much, you're convincing them, but it's also that trust that I'm not going to recommend anything that I don't use, that I just as well as I have to get a positive reviews. It was one hotel where I went to in Tulum. I gave my, how many points I used. I did my normal redemption, but I also gave my honest review of the space so that I wouldn't go back. You have to have them to trust you. So I'm not going to recommend or just say, hey, yeah, go get this card. And they're like, no. I wouldn't with my own personal interest. You want that, and that's how you build your trust with your community, because they trust you. And ultimately, that's what you want to have as well. If you're looking to be an influencer, and beyond just getting paid from the TikTok and the Instagram for just being on there, but you want the brand deals, you want the partnerships, you want the affiliate relationships, you got to have that conversion. and you have to lead to sales ultimately.
We have one more question. What about the Amazon membership rewards with the credit cards?
So that is what I mentioned. That's a co-branded card. So those anything that you earn from that card can only be used on Amazon. And so I believe it's cashback. I don't have it, but just because I will have people say all the time, like, oh, I got the Amex card, but they may have the Amex Navy Federal card. And although they say those are points, those points can only be redeemed for cash. You can't use those because those are Navy Federal points. Those are not membership rewards. So that's why I said, like, learning the game, learning the different. We may call them as currencies, but learning the different currencies, like I mentioned, the Capital One miles, the American Express membership reward points, the Chase Ultimate reward points. You want to learn and educate yourself on those things too. But the Amazon card, I would say that's co-branded, but there are ways that I talk about all the time how you can still get 5 times back on your Amazon purchases, but in points versus cash. And those are some of the things that I talk about as well. At a minimum, for me personally, I have like a catch-all card where I may do a blanket 2 times back. But if I'm not working on a sign-up bonus, at a minimum, I'm always earning 5 times back. And I have, and I talk about that as well. My favorite card that gets me 5 times back on everything. But every dollar, and it was something just even on the finance side. And I had seen a podcast. Why don't my money have to go to work too? Like, I have to work, but so does my money. So whether outside of just the points and miles, my actual cash, I'm investing it. You got retirement funds or whatever way you want your money to work for you. And so that's the same way when I'm spending. I want it to work for me. So I barely have cash on me, and I don't use my cash back. Ever. I use my credit cards, even if it's for the protection, especially for those big purchases. If you're spending thousands of dollars, I want that protection just in case something ever happens. I know that I can reach back out to my issuer or things like that, but I still want to earn my points and things like that as well, too.
I know that's right. Okay, so you definitely gave a bunch of good gems on how to get started, how to build if you already have points, how you got started in the industry. So we're going to play a quick game to kind of like figure out who Reese is. It's called This or That. So you have to answer on a dime, no explanation, no, I like both of them. No, it's just one or the other. All right, ready?
Okay.
And you kind of answered one earlier, but flying or driving?
Flying.
Twitter or Facebook?
Facebook.
What about Instagram or TikTok?
TikTok. I feel like I get way more, when I go to places and I research a lot of stuff, I get on TikTok. So they influence me on there, whether it's perfumes or whatever it is. So I would say TikTok.
Dining or delivery?
Dining. It depends. I would say dining.
Not depends. Which one?
I would say dining then. I would prefer to just go out.
Go out, yeah, me too. Dancing or singing?
Oh, that's hard. I would say singing. I love music.
Last one, romance or comedy?
Romance or comedy? I would say romance then. It's both. So you said I can't pick both, but I would say a rom-com. That's one. That's technically, that's a genre.
Technically. Y'all see how she got me on the technicality? Yeah. But this was like really incredible. Thank you so much for your conversation. Let everybody know one more time, let all the listeners know one more time how to follow you, how to get into your group, or where to connect with you.
So first, thank you for having me. It was so nice meeting you. I'm so glad we connected. And not just just a gem of not just going to these networking events, but continuing the conversations after that, so still talking offline and networking. But if you want to join my Facebook group, it is Journey with Reese J. All of the platforms are Journey with Reese J. It's up on your screen, but Reese is REESE. So everything is Journey with Reese J, JourneyReeseJ.com. I am on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
Thank y'all so much.
And stay tuned because I will be on YouTube next year as well.
YouTube coming up 2025, so it's a countdown. So y'all make sure y'all tap into her website now because her YouTube is coming soon. That's what's next for Reese. All right. So to all of our loyal listeners, if you found this episode valuable as we did, because I know I did, I got some notes, and my assistant better have some notes. But
I got you, girl. Just message me offline, honey.
Yes, literally. Remember, whether you are just coming in or you just found some value from this episode, share it with somebody. Make sure you let them know, hey, Comma Convos is giving out some valuable information. She has great guests, and then it's fun. It's fun. You learn stuff, and it's fun all the time. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And until next time, I want to see you guys winning and wealthy. Y'all have a good night.
Yeah, see you guys.